Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where after quite a while, excuse me for that, I was kind of busy and I was having a lot of fun with Hogwarts Legacy lately, but yeah, we're back and today we're going to take a look at the Predator of Point Pleasant. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. What this video is going to be about is we are going to play as a commando, not a stealthy one, but a loud and proud commando. And we are utilizing the alien disintegrator with the automatic weapon modification, which turns it into a commando weapon. And yeah, that's basically the premise here. There's not going to be any too crazy stuff going on. Now, the most notable thing about this guy is obviously the loadout, but other than that, yeah, for once, when it comes to legendary perks, I really just made this guy a stat monster, basically, as far as that happens with a full health character. So obviously if you were to go low health with unyielding, it would be even crazier. But yeah, I pretty much just dumped all of the legendary perks that I have into more special stats. And yeah, the overall build, that how it turned out, is pretty solid in my opinion. Now, it's not the craziest thing in the world. As I said, there's nothing too special going on here, but it is a lot of fun. And yeah, basically I just wanted to take a look at the alien disintegrator for the most part, because it's a really cool weapon, kind of missed potential in my opinions. Mostly the fact that, yeah, there's nothing going on in terms of modifications to this weapon. I really don't see why they didn't add something like a scope or different stocks or anything. It's a little bit weird, to be honest. There's just some different receivers. But yeah, other than that, it's a really cool weapon. I really like it. I love the design of the weapon and the sound effects. Now, this weapon would be perfectly suitable for a stealth commando character, and for a while I actually thought about it, but ultimately decided not to do that. For no particular reason, I just enjoyed it the way it is. And yeah, in terms of power, there's actually, yeah, this thing does fine. I mean, it probably won't really keep up with something like a fully modded out fixer or something, but yeah, it's great. Now, we do have a two-shot version with better VATS crits and less VATS action point cost, which obviously makes it a little bit of a hassle in terms of recoil and in terms of accuracy when it comes to VATS, which we are using all of the time. And these guys really are forgiving. It's always a surprise, but yeah. So outside of that, you really don't want to use this weapon. The only reason I did here was because obviously since the settlers we were attacking here weren't a hostile, we couldn't VATS them. So that's the problem. But other than that, yeah, this really is due to the lack of accuracy, and sadly there's not a whole lot we can do about it other than legendary effects. Precisely the legendary effect, better VATS hit chance as a secondary effect. I mean, we could add stalkers, but who uses that, right? This really is a close range build. Maybe mid-range, it's fine, and especially if you don't really care for, maybe take a Red X for once we don't have what Red's on. Yeah, you do have concentrated fire, so if you're not really caring for ammo consumption, you can easily attack enemies over mid-range. Just, yeah, afford to lose some shots here and there. But yeah, it's designed for close combat, which shouldn't be a problem in most situations. Now, obviously, when it comes to this here Scorch Beast, it's a bit more of a problem, but ultimately the fact that we do use so little AP due to the less VATS action point cost and the relatively low action point cost to begin with this weapon, we can really afford to stay in VATS for a long time and therefore get our accuracy due to concentrated fire sooner or later, as you saw there. And yeah, for a full health build, we actually can stay in VATS for quite a long time. And one thing to note here is, other than oftentimes where when I go for a VATS build or stealth builds in particular, I pump my agility up to like 20 or something due to legendary perks. On this occasion I didn't do that. I think it's in all reality it's like 16 or something like that, and maybe 17 due to our under armor, but yeah, we're not having ridiculous action points going on. That's what I'm trying to tell here. But still, we can stay in VATS for quite a long time due to the low AP usage. In terms of damage, as you saw there, so far, we really do great. The biggest downside here is the low accuracy of the weapon. It's way better. I do have a Furious faster fire rate version of this weapon with me, which works quite a bit better in terms of accuracy. But I decided to go with this particular version here because it really, for the full health build, this has some solid damage output. Two-shot, always a good option on energy weapons, in my opinion. And while it's not the greatest effect in terms of extra damage, you really just don't have to do anything for it. As I said, you have the downside of lower accuracy, but that's pretty much it. I mean, you also have lower armor penetration, but really the damage you're getting with it is worth it, in my opinion, on this occasion. Extra VATS crits obviously is great. Now, I really ran into here, by the way, not thinking about the Assaultron, but for once it's not here, which is a good thing, because since we're so reliant on VATS, I really should have approached the situation more carefully and started by attacking the Assaultron if he was here. But yeah, as I said, we're lucky on this occasion. Now, yeah, back to the topic. VATS crits, obviously, really good effect when we're only using VATS, so nothing to say here. And really, the thing I enjoy the most about this build is basically the visuals. Now, relatively recently, I had a little bit of a discussion going on in the comments where we were basically talking that, yeah, a lot of the vanilla armor in this game looks kind of trash, and we were pointing out that especially radar armor is kind of hideous in a lot of situations, and I wanted to make a character which utilizes radar armor and doesn't look bad. Now, when it comes to radar armor, there's two things you really have to consider, which is, for the most part, it does change when you're adding certain modifications. Butt rest, which is the best one in terms of damage resistances, changes it, but it goes down to like hardened, I think, where the visuals will change. And also it makes a big difference if you're using light, sturdy, or heavy versions. So I really, yeah, I mixed quite a bit, quite a few pieces, tried quite a few things out, and what I found was that with the chest piece, I had to go with hardened, I think it is, and for the arms, so the chest piece is hardened heavy, I think. Chest pieces are sturdy or light, but they are buttressed. And when it came to the legs, this is where I didn't feel comfortable with any of the decisions. So ultimately I went with metal armor, heavy metal legs with the Raiderish skin, which you got from one of the seasons. And ultimately, yeah, I think the combination of the armor works really well once we look at it here. And really, what works especially well, in my opinion, is the headpiece. And here's a few things going on. We do have the bone antlers. This is all Atomic stuff, by the way. We have the bone antlers, which for some reason work with the what's it called? Grease Goblin helmet or face mask. I'm not really sure how it's called exactly. And on top of that, you can actually use the Mothman goggles, the red Mothman goggles, or Mothman Hunter goggles, I think it is, which really combine into this really cool headpiece. I really like it. Works really well for a cultist themed character, in my opinion. Now, I have tried a few other headpieces to combine them with the Grease Goblin skin, but nothing else worked. Everything else I tried did unequip the helmet, so it really is a unique thing about the antlers. Probably you can combine them with quite a few other headpieces, but yeah, they work really well. They are clipping, obviously, but looking at them, you don't see it. It really looks like it's part of one combined helmet, which really has this tribal warrior vibe going on that you would see in a post-apocalypse. Now, just look at it once more. I really dig the aesthetic of this guy here. It's really cool. In terms of weapons, I ultimately haven't found any weapon that goes perfectly with it. The Alien Disintegrator might have been a little bit of a weird choice. But ultimately I found it worked really well. Now, mostly because of the red balls you're shooting, they just fit the red eyeballs really well, and overall the weapon just doesn't look too off used by this character for some reason. I have tried railway rifle, which also worked relatively well, but I wanted to keep that up for another video that I have in mind somewhere back there. And yeah, starting off, it was a pipe rifle build. But I wasn't too sold on that because I ultimately wanted to do something else, and yeah, anyway. By the way, I think my break's kind of over. I will be releasing more videos soon. I will probably record one more tomorrow, which I'm going to release within the next 2 weeks. But yeah, the next 2 weeks I am on vacation, but after that I plan to really get back to release more videos, have a few ideas. Every now and then I just need this kind of break, and luckily some cool things happened within the game. Most notably, one thing I want to do, and I'm probably going to do this next, I want to take a look at the buff that the ultrasight laser rifle received. Pretty substantial buff from all I can tell so far, so yeah, I really have high hopes for something cool going on there. And other than that, I really want to make a build centered around the cold shoulder. Really cool, unique weapon, really well done. Perfect way to execute a unique legendary weapon as a reward, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm really stoked to do it. I just need to find a way to make it a little bit more unique, because at the moment basically my go-to approach would probably be to just make a build I have already done, because I already did a build using a quad double barrel shotgun. So yeah, I have to see how I'm going to do that. But yeah, that will probably come pretty soon. But yeah, yet again, pretty cool stuff. So that's 2 videos that are definitely going to come out, and I'm really stoked to do so. But yeah, I mean, you probably noticed that I'm not talking a whole lot about this build in particular here, but that's the reason why I wanted to make this one, because yeah, after the break I needed to talk a little bit about stuff going on the channel. And that's why I decided for this build, because yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's a commando build, pretty heavy on the ammo consumption, but ultimately, yeah, you see what you get. I mean, it's a pretty high damage output build. Now, in terms of defensive, I really didn't do a whole lot on this occasion, which usually I don't, but the approach of avoiding damage here is just killing stuff quickly, which works out pretty well for the most part. I mean, we're always taking some damage, but it's just not crazy. I mean, we burned through like 4 stim packs or something during the whole video. It really isn't too crazy. You can just take down enemies quickly enough, so damage isn't a big factor for most situations. And yeah, I'm still hearing some kind of combat music going on, but I think we should be fine. And when it comes to our stats this time around, I'm going to go over them a little bit quicker than usually, just so we can finally get one of our videos back to maybe like 25 minutes or so. And yeah, that was the gameplay part. I hope you enjoyed it so far, and now we're going to take a look at the mutations first. Starting off, we do have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. So really nothing going on here that's too crazy. We could have used Scaly Skin, we could have used Grounded. That way though, we needed to have, we would have needed to use, how's it called? Man, I just didn't play the game for 2 weeks and now I'm back to not knowing the perks. Class Freak, sorry, what an obvious one. Anyways, talking about the mutations, we do have Adrenal Reaction, not necessary, but as I said, we're not having a ton of resistance going on, so we're spending a whole lot of time at like 60% health, 70% health during fights, so we pretty much always will get some benefit from Adrenal Reaction. Then we do have Bird Bones, just more AP. Obviously, Eagle Eyes, more perception and crit damage. Now, both of these are very important for this character because, as I said, we have relatively low accuracy, so extra perception helps with that. And crit damage just sinks in very well with our better criticals perk and with the effect on the weapon. And yeah. Then we do have Egghead, definitely not necessary, helps a little bit with more experience, but that's pretty much it. I mean, you can live without it. It ultimately makes us less tanky due to the lack of endurance coming with it, and we have a lack of carry weight due to it, but I found it useful enough to use it. But if you don't want to live with the downsides, just don't. Then we do have Marsupial and Speed Demon, and yeah, more jump height, faster movement speed, obviously nice, and faster reload speed also great, especially if we're talking about a weapon which doesn't have a magazine that you can pick that makes it reload faster. Then we go over to our equipment, and we are starting off with our weapon. Here it is, 2-shot, VATS crits, less VATS cost, Alien Disintegrator. Other options: Furious faster fire rate, faster reload maybe, anti-armor, VATS crit, less VATS cost. There's a ton you can do. There's nothing you desperately need to take a look at. Sadly, there's a cryo receiver for the weapon, turning it into a rifleman weapon. Sadly, it doesn't seem to work the same way as a alien blaster, where if you use the cryo modification, it benefits from demolition expert. So yeah, that was an approach I had in mind, but didn't work out too well. So yeah, this is what we went up with. And yeah, in terms of modifications, automatic receiver is all you can do. The weapon has a modification slot for the muzzle, but there is, as far as I know, no modification for it. So it's just that weight, and also no skin. So yeah, pretty much all I can say. In terms of condition, we went through like 30 to 40% during the video. Keep in mind though, we do have Gunsmith on, so in all reality, you would lose a little bit more than that. We went through like 1,000 shots of Alien Blaster rounds, which is okay, I guess, for not using stealth and anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All I can say about this weapon. It's pretty light though, which is nice. And then we do have armor, and in terms of armor, the only thing I really looked out for was action point refresh. So here we can see it. The arms are buttressed. When it comes to the metal, it's just polished with the Raiderish paint. We do have deep pocketed and everything, just for more carry weight. You could have used ultralight for even more action points, but it didn't feel necessary. And yeah, in terms of the chest piece, we do have tempered. As I said, this was a decision I made due to looks only. If we would have went up to hardened or buttressed, you would have some piping going over your head, clipping with everything, and in general it just looks hideous. So sadly, we're missing out on a bit of defense here, but to be honest, the armor we are rocking isn't too crazy on defenses, so on DR and ER anyways. So yeah, it was a sacrifice I was willing to make. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can tell about them. Nothing too crazy going on. As you see, 2 Zealots pieces, a Mutants piece, Mutant Slayers. Go for whatever you like here. I really just wanted to have the extra AP refresh. And yeah, in terms of apparel, Greased Goblin Mask it is called. No, I remember. Cultist Backpack, Bone Antler Headband, Mothman Hunter Goggles, and the only noteworthy thing here that actually makes a gameplay difference is the shielded lining. Road Ladders work pretty well in terms of aesthetics. On yeah, extra agility and perception is obviously nice. So is luck, because when it comes to luck, we only have 14, going up to 15 due to this, and that makes it so we can have a crit on every 3rd shot with critical savvy. Now, talking about the perks here, when it comes to strength, we have 2 strength and bandolier. Now, for this particular build, bandolier doesn't do anything. We are carrying energy ammo, which is covered by batteries included in intelligence, but strength was my dumpstead here, and only 1 point of strength. It's always hard for me to find something to use, and ultimately I decided to use bandolier for just 1 point of investment into strength, and that's it. So you can bring it down to 1 and just waste that point for anything if you want to. There really isn't anything that's necessary. When it comes to perception, I went with a pretty common combination for commando, which is 2 times rank 3 commando perk cards, 1 times rank 2 commando perk card, Then we have Ground Pounder maxed out, really good on this particular weapon. As I said, we don't have any modifications that boost our reload speed, so Ground Pounder and Speed Demon is everything we get if we don't want to use a legendary effect with faster reloads. So yeah, Ground Pounder kind of necessary. And that left us with 1 rank of Concentrated Fire, which comes from sparing 1 point in Master Commando. And lastly, we do have Tank Killer for extra armor penetration and a little bit of a stagger chance, so nothing too crazy here. Endurance I wanted to have maxed out because, as I said, we have pretty shitty armor on. So really our defense comes a lot from having high endurance and having a relatively high amount of hit points. So yeah, Life Giver for extra hit points, Ironclad just to counter the low defense rating of our armor a little bit, Adamantium Skeleton so we don't need to use Stimpaks in order to heal broken limbs. However, on this occasion, since we are using Stimpaks every now and then, it's not too big of a trouble if we use something else here. Ghoulish would work well in my opinion. And lastly, we do a Fireproof. This is pretty obvious, just basically reduce damage from explosions. Flame attacks are rare and not the problem here, it's explosions, which by the way includes breath attacks from Scorch Beast. Then we do have Charisma, Lone Wanderer, yet again boosting our defense a little bit and giving us yet more action point refresh. You will see that we have a lot of action point refresh going on, probably going overkill, but yeah, I wanted to have this, which left us with only rank 1 of Tenderizer, something I rarely do. Most of the time, or pretty much most builds, I do have rank 3 Tenderizer because it's such a good build, such a good perk, but on this occasion, I really just didn't have the points over to use rank 3 of Tenderizer, and I ultimately didn't miss it too much. So yeah, rank 1 it is, but feel free to max it out if you want to and have the points for it. Then we go over to Intelligence. I quickly mentioned batteries included here just to keep up with our ammo, make it way less. Now, alien blaster rounds aren't desperately heavy, so if you keep a stock of like 4,000, 5,000 on you, you don't really need batteries included, but it doesn't hurt. And Gunsmith here just for convenience, so our weapon doesn't break all the time, which I would say is a good thing on the Alien Blaster. It's not the most sturdy weapon in the game. Then we go over to Agility, which is maxed out, as is Perception and Endurance, and Luck nearly. So yeah, we have Action Boy, yet again, more action point refresh. As I said, probably overkill. Just the armor set alone would be enough, most likely, but I really wanted to go all in here. Evasive, pretty much everything I said about Ironclad is true here too, just offsetting our bad defense rating from the armor set. Then we do have 1 rank of Gun Fu, which works really well with this weapon due to the fact that we use so little action points. And yeah, then we do have White Knight, just pretty much the same as Gunsmith, makes our armor break less often. So, I mean, pretty much the same as Gunsmith is for weapons and White Knight is for armor, but I think you got that. And yeah, lastly, we do have Adrenaline because, yeah, I can't make a build without Adrenaline and Tenderizer maxed out, so obviously Adrenaline was here, and I don't regret it. It's a good perk. Then we do have Luck at 14, so as I said, nearly maxed out. The only reason I didn't max it out is because due to our under armor, we do have 15 Luck, which is enough for our means, which is with Critical Savvy, which we do have down here. We do get a crit on every 3rd shot. Higher than that would only be reasonable if we manage to get 23 Luck, at which point we would get the chance to get a crit on every 2nd shot with the VATS crits filling faster legendary effect. And yeah, it's a whole different build. So pretty much 15 luck is what you need in order to use Critical Savvy to get a crit on every 3rd shot, and higher than that only really matters if you're going to 23 with the legendary perk or 33, and yeah, that's insane without unyielding armor. Long story short, we do have Critical Savvy here. Better criticals obviously syncs in very well with Eagle Eyes and our better VATS crits legendary effect. Then we do have Tormentor, because I really felt like, yeah, on this occasion I wanted to have it. Gives us a little bit of a chance of crippling a limb with our rifles, which includes automatic rifles. So yeah, nice thing to have. And then we do have Bloody Mess just for some extra damage, which works relatively well on this occasion just because that's something where energy weapons, and especially this one, shines. The base damage is relatively high compared to a lot of ballistic weapons because they don't have receivers that increase the damage. So, or different, you know what I mean. So yeah, Bloody Mess, not as useless as it often is, or not as pitiful as it often is, let's say it that way. And yeah, Starch Gene's pretty obvious. We want to keep our mutations, not get any new ones, and that's basically it when it comes to our standard perks. And yeah, as I said, the rest here is just all legendary perks. We do have all of them maxed out except for charisma. By the way, obviously, if you have something else, use something else. Legendary charisma is a waste in to a high degree because it doesn't give you the ability to share more perks. So if you can avoid it, you should always avoid to use legendary charisma, but use something else instead because it doesn't give you any extra buffs. Passive ability to share perks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.